welcome back to Elevator Pitch once more. My name is Hazel, with me here as always.
Altair.
Thank you very much. And as you may or may not know at this point, on this podcast we like to talk about films, but we also specifically like to talk about films that the other hasn't seen, so we'll introduce each other to a film the other one hasn't seen. We'll give each other a small pitch, talk about 5 reasons why, under normal circumstances, why we would like this film. Today, unfortunately, that is not the case. Today will be 5 reasons why this film ruined a franchise. If you haven't caught up on our last episode in this series, so to speak, it's Batman and Robin. You can go and listen to that afterwards. And then basically then we just talk about the film together and our notes, critiques, observations, and so on. So,
If you thought, Hazel just said last week, we talked about Batman and Robin, like the most famous bad film ever made.
Yeah.
I think something that everyone knows ruined
a franchise. I think that's not even debatable.
Exactly. But for some reason, Hazel hates her film, the film that she's going to introduce today, even more than Batman and Robin.
I think it's just because I have an emotional investment. And if you hadn't already gleaned from the title of this episode, it is Alien Resurrection. I'm wearing my Alien t-shirt today in honor because I love Alien and I love Aliens. They're 2 of my favorite films ever made. I think they're great pieces of filmmaking. They're different, but they're still masterful in their own way. And then there is this film, which, I didn't even set out to watch this film because I had heard that the 3rd one isn't great, the 4th one sucks, and so do the prequels, and so does Alien vs. Predator. So I didn't even really go near. I know I should make up my mind about films without having seen them, but when universally films are so reviled, I'm like, I don't really want to ruin my experience of these 2 films. But I didn't volunteer to watch this the first time round. I had to watch this film as part of my film studies when I was doing a science fiction module at university. So I watched it, and it happened, and here we are. I mean, to be fair, I had to watch this film, and I also had to watch Matrix Revolutions.
Okay.
And to give this film one benefit, I would watch this film 100 times over rewatching Matrix Revolutions. To be fair, if that's a benefit, if that's a positive I can give this film.
I mean,
I know you had a slightly different.
Because because I think the main difference is that that I don't have an emotional attachment to the franchise. I think I've seen the first one because
we watched the first one
together. I haven't seen the other ones, so all my commentary today is gonna be from the point of view. I'm just gonna. I guess I can only review this film in terms of this film, in the context of this film.
Yeah.
But I have you to enlighten me of
course,
how.
I mean, we talked about this yesterday.
Yeah.
That, like you pointed out, if you don't have any relationship to any of the previous films, you could go in watching this, I guess, as a fun popcorn movie.
Yeah.
I guess it depends on your definition of fun, but you know.
Yeah. I think. But I guess that's the main problem. I guess from your point of view, that I don't know if Alien is supposed to be a popcorn film.
No.
Or is it more? It's a little bit more serious than that. So because if it is supposed to be something more serious than that, which I think, at least in retrospective, it is. I don't know how it was when it came out, but at least now you see, I know Alien is like a classic. So I guess that when you see it that way, and then you compare this film, which is, I think, a decent popcorn film,
Yeah.
then it's like, okay, but that's not what Alien is about.
Yeah, exactly.
guess.
Yeah. Well, I'm going to get into this. But because I guess if you wrote this film as separate from the Alien franchise, and it's just a sci-fi horror film of just these people who get attacked by aliens and they have to escape, I guess it would work better. But again, tonally, it doesn't really match any of the previous films. We'll talk about the script. The script is weird. It's a script by Joss Whedon. For some reason, he thought that this is from what I've
that
read.
he could write.
I mean,
kidding, Joss Whedon, I'm kidding.
There have been many things said about Joss Whedon recently that we've learnt. I think he is a good writer. I've watched his stuff. Like, I love Cabin in the Woods. That's a great deconstruction of the horror genre. He's written some of the other stuff that I enjoyed. So I mean, obviously Buffy. I mean, he can be a good writer, but for some reason, and this is what I read, I think the clash came when he wrote a script. Apparently, again, why I don't know. Thought that Alien needed some humor, specifically his brand of humor. But then the director, what was his name? A French name. Jean-Pierre Jeunet.
Okay, you see, I wasn't that
you weren't that far off. Jean-Pierre Jeunet, who also directed Amélie.
Yeah, that was
That's
weird.
the only thing I know. That's the only thing I can reference of his, off the top of my head. So the director decided that this obviously should be more like a horror film, which the other previous films had gone in this darker direction. So I think there tonally you have this clash, and you see it not only in the direction but also in the performances and the delivery of the lines, and we can talk about that. So this is going to be a long ass rant today.
Nice.
And you will find it already in my pitch.
Let's see.
So my logline for this film is Ellen Ripley gets brought back to life because the studio got greedy. That's as much as I can say about this film, summed up.
Okay.
Because I guess we can go into it what we were talking about yesterday a bit, but like you said, I think that you kind of hit the nail on the head when you said there's not really a story there, because for me personally, I never really wanted to go any further than the first two, because Aliens has a nice ending where Ripley survives, and then Newt, this little girl that sort of becomes her kind of adoptive daughter in a way, she survives, she saves her. And then Hicks, this other soldier who I think they sort of imply could be a love interest, he survives. And so it's kind of this happy ending of, okay, great, they did it. And then from what I know, I haven't seen Alien 3. This was on the table, but I thought I don't really want to do that. So, but I've read some things on Alien 3. But I knew that at the beginning of Alien 3, she lands on this prison island with all these other prisoners or inmates, but then Hicks and Newt got killed. Like, they get killed off screen. So all of Aliens, that whole storyline basically just gets wiped out. So I like to pretend that doesn't happen. But I can also see, I saw some arguments some articles making the argument that in its own way you could see the three as a trilogy, and that even though they killed off Hicks and Newt, Ripley in the end sacrificing herself to wipe out the aliens apparently indefinitely was sort of rounded off that story nicely, which I can see the argument in that. So when you get to this one, it's like, why are we here, guys?
Yeah.
Like, other than money, really.
Yeah.
So Yeah, so I'll get into my 5 reasons why it ruined
The-
this franchise in particular, because I think, as you said, we discussed it with The Crow a bit.
Mm-hmm.
You can have like one bad sequel, I think,
Okay. Yeah.
and I think by the time you get to the 4th one and it's bad,
Like, give up.
give up, because the 3rd one apparently, because the 3rd one, from I've read, there's the studio cut, and then there's, I guess, the director's cut that actually David Fincher didn't have anything to do with, but was used from it, taken from his notes, because he left the project before they got to the editing.
Yeah.
And apparently that one kind of works better once you actually had more of David Fincher's whole vision there. I lost track of where I was going with that.
We
Where
were
was I
talking
going?
about how you can have a one bad sequel.
That's
but
right.
when
Yeah,
you-
sorry. Yeah, so you can have so once you have like David Fincher's more complete vision, and it's kind of better than what the studio produced, you can kind of think, okay, let's give them the benefit of the doubt. Maybe they'll have like one miss. Then this one comes along, it's not good. And ever since then, all the other films have not been good.
Yeah.
So I see that this is why I'm staking my claim that this is the one that ruined the franchise, because I think ever since then they've just given up on making like a good Alien movie, or they misunderstood, I think, at this point, why people loved the first one so much, or what made it so good.
Good.
So yeah, my 5 reasons for why this one in particular ruined the franchise. It's unnecessary.
Yeah.
Need I say more? It doesn't need to exist. It ruins the xenomorphs for me, the aliens. I love the design of the aliens. I think it's one of the most iconic in science fiction. I have a painting of a xenomorph in my room. Some people might be horrified by it, but that's the point. But it's like a great design and a great monster, and it worked so well. And we'll get into another issue that I have with this film, but what worked so well in the first one is that they don't overuse it, they don't overplay it. It's kind of kept in the dark mostly. You don't hardly ever really see the full xenomorph as is, and it's just a great design. And in this one, unfortunately, not only do they overuse it, they show it so many times, just in horrible CGI. I mean, I don't need to see a xenomorph climbing up a ladder.
Yeah.
I don't need that. I don't need horrible CGI of them like walking around. It looks bad. It looks wrong. And also just the sort of this beginning where they're kind of kept almost as pets also in a way takes away the badassness away from them. So never mind the horrible redesign that they have with the alien human hybrid at the end, which looks disgusting.
Yeah, that's
and is horrible.
That's not a good alien.
It's ugly. No.
Yeah. Yeah, I think we talked about it a little bit yesterday when I said that maybe the reason why they have so much of the alien by this one in this film was because it was already the 90s, right?
This was 97, yes.
So
both these films actually came out in 97.
Yeah, so by then, probably audiences were already used to maybe watching more of these creatures. So I guess that you cannot really, if you're gonna have like a big budget science fiction film, you cannot really get away with not showing the monster like they did in the first one, because it's another treatment. So I think that I really believe that the reason why there's so much of the alien is because, okay, they probably thought, okay, people want to see the alien.
Yeah.
So they said we have to give it to them. But I do agree that, for example, that scene on the ladder, it's not working. And I have a problem with when they're kind of talking about like the aliens when they're like in the cage,
Yeah.
and they're, I guess, talking and saying, "Okay, guys, let's do this." Which is when they start attacking each other.
Yeah.
So that the floor.
Yeah, so they kill one of them
Yeah.
because their blood is acid, so it will melt through the floor so they can escape.
Yeah, so I guess that bit of that conversation between the aliens for me was like,
Okay.
yeah.
I feel like the xenomorphs are treated in this with the way that the dinosaurs have been treated in the Jurassic Park franchise. Whereas, like, they started off as these scary things, but you also kind of have this almost reverence for it, and there's this mystery about them. And then eventually they got so overused and almost goofy to an extent that they have that they're not threatening anymore or scary.
Yeah. Okay, let's continue.
Because I will counter that argument.
Yeah.
Because
that's not good enough, bitch.
you had to bring more to the table. No, because Aliens kind of took that premise of like people really loved the alien. What should we do for the second one? Let's make it plural. And that's what they did. And it's just aliens. So you just have more aliens. But James Cameron knew how to utilize them in the way that they're not overused, but they're still scary, but you also don't show too much of them, you know? And I don't think this director really had the ability or just the skill to do that, to know how much to use them and, you know.
Yeah, probably.
But anyway. My third reason is it completely changed Ripley's character.
Yeah.
So I love her character in the first one and particularly in the second one. She's a total fucking badass. But like this one, again, it's like it's an unnecessary journey for her. In a weird way, I kind of liked Sigourney Weaver's performance. I think like she gave a good performance, I think. But the character itself is so, and I guess you can put that down to her being a clone, so she's not actually Ripley, but she's so like weird. She's so like overly sexual at times. There's a lot of like face touching, face rubbing. Why?
Yeah, for me, something that one of my notes was like, I don't really understand her in the sense that, I mean, like she's been taught all these basic things, and yet she knows a lot of other stuff.
Yeah.
So, like, for example, they're trying to show her, this is a glove. No, she says hand and whatever. And then it's like, you killed him? You're gonna regret that. And it's like, but
Okay.
how am I supposed to understand her character? Is she a little bit of Born Sexy yesterday, or is she a little bit more of other kind of trope? Like for me, at least at the beginning, that's not clear.
Yeah. Yeah.
So for me, it was
they,
like,
they frame her character as like, is she on the human side or is she more sympathetic towards the xenomorphs? Is she going to betray us? And that for me, I don't know. It's just a weird, I think, kind of betrayal of her character in a way, because she went through all these horrible things because of these xenomorphs, and her kind of whole character motivation is to wipe them out. And also, I mean, the first film, the script was actually written as all the characters were written to be either gender. So you could tell, particularly in the first one, her like as a woman that wasn't brought up, and not so much in the second one either. But this one is just so unnecessarily sexual for no reason whatsoever, and that's not what I liked about the character to begin with.
Yeah, I think, which that's another there's like an over sexualization of a few things in the film.
Oh, well, yeah, there's one shot in
Yeah.
particular that we'll talk about.
Which I guess, it's like, I guess it's unnecessary. You don't really need that in the film.
I don't know if that was a Joss Whedon thing or a Jean-Pierre Jeunet film thing. Yeah. The fourth reason is the characters in general. They are unlikable and they are forgettable. I do not like anyone in this film. I can't root for any of them. I turned to you at some point and said, I hope the xenomorphs kill them. I hope they all even though I knew that's not what was going to happen, but I was genuinely like rooting for the xenomorphs eventually because it was just... again, this is the first two films, the second one in particular, you have such great characters, very memorable, and they become more than just alien fodder, which is something a lot of horror films sort of like run into, which is that you obviously start with this big group of characters because you inevitably have to kill a lot of them off, and you veer into this territory of a lot of them are just so thinly sketched out that they're just there to be killed. And the first Alien and Aliens didn't do that. You had really great, memorable characters that you actually felt for and you actually rooted for to survive this. But this one, I was just like, I don't care about any of you lot. You're all assholes.
Yeah, I think also the problem there lies in the fact that I think almost the entire first act happens without the characters that we're gonna be with during the second and third act, because the film starts with the scientists.
Yeah,
so
that's true.
I thought, okay, so it's gonna be the scientists escaping from the alien.
Yeah, that it's Ripley and the scientists teaming up,
or something like that. So that's what I was gonna get to meet, I guess, because that's the first people we're introduced to.
Yeah,
right?
it takes a long time to
and
really
then
get started.
and all of a sudden, these guys come, and I don't know anything about them. I don't know what they're there. I don't know how they're. I know there's like this bit with Winona's characters, and how the relationship with her is, but it's very little.
Yeah,
it's very little, and all of a sudden, you're stuck with these characters. So they didn't give us time to really get to know them. So I guess that's why you don't really root for them, because for you all they are is cargo in a way.
Yeah, literally.
In a way. So you have, of course, you have Winona, who's supposed to be like one of the main characters, and of course you have Sigourney Weaver.
Yeah.
Maybe that's also part of the thing. Like, you have these very big stars. So maybe the studio only wanted you to care about these two characters, and the other ones were just
expendable.
Exactly. So maybe that's why they didn't. But I think it does take out from the experience. Definitely.
Yeah. I feel like they just give them like some interesting characteristics, where it's like, so there you have Winona, she's a cyborg.
Yeah.
And then you have Ron Perlman, who's doing something like a weird performance.
Yeah.
And then you have the wheelchair guy.
Yeah.
And then you have the black guy.
Yeah.
And then you have the Latina. I'm guessing she was Latina.
I think she was kind of Latina.
And then you have the guy from The Crow.
Yeah. that was literally the translation of his role, the Crow guy.
The Crow guy, the evil guy from Crow.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's how you kind of learn to identify them, really.
Yeah.
Which is not good.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that's true.
And my fifth and final reasons kind of interlink. On the one hand, because I am bothered by the amount of on-screen violence in this film. I think there's a lot of stuff done in kind of poor taste or unnecessarily, and it just leads into sort of the overarching reason that I have, which is just that it's tonally inconsistent and doesn't really, I don't think really understands what an alien movie is supposed to be. I just think it's a misunderstanding, like a lack of understanding of the material you're trying to adapt. Well, it's not adapt, but the material that preceded this film.
Yeah. Okay. No, I get that. yeah, when there is such a tone shift,
Mm.
then why is it? Because you have to think of a franchise as a I guess as a collection. They have to be cohesive.
Yeah.
And yeah, because otherwise then it doesn't fit.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, if you think that the tone is different, then definitely.
Yeah. I just think there's just a lack of, like I say, kind of taste in a way. That there's like some moments I remember even the first time watching it around, that there's just a lot of aspects of this film that are just downright cruel. You know, unnecessarily, like the guys. I mean, the whole plot. We'll get into the plot, but the group are basically these group of mercenaries, and they've basically delivering this cargo of people who are like in stasis, in this cryosleep, so to speak, who are then used, literally positioned above the eggs, and you know there's no way out for them. They're literally waking up to immediately die. And it's just it's horrible, and it's just it's unnecessarily cruel for cruelty's sake. And there's a lot of, it's like the I just wrote down like just the horniness of all the male characters.
Yeah.
It's, I don't know, it's the color palette.
Yeah.
There's just so much in here that I'm just like, this is so unnecessary on so many levels.
Yeah.
But I guess let's get into it.
Let's
talk
into
about
it.
Oh, God. So, we're starting this movie off. It's 200 years after the last one, for reasons.
Yeah, that was one of my big questions. Like, why does it have to take place 200 years after? What can it be? What can it be? A little bit like
80 years.
Yeah, or 2 years. Like, why? Is it 200? No, I'm not. Maybe if they explained it to me, no, it has to be 200 because that's the cycle of incubation of an alien. Then okay, but they don't explain why.
No, because
years.
Exactly. Because one of the questions that I have several questions about trying to for them trying to justify this plot. But one of them is, so obviously, this Ripley is a clone of the original Ripley, and they refer to her as Ripley 8. Because as we find out later, we find the room full of clones, previous clones, and so she's only the 8th clone.
Mm-hmm.
Would you think at this point, and judging by the 7th clone, which is a horrendous mess, how did they go from that to number 8, which is perfect?
Yeah.
And how did you'd think cloning someone would take a lot more tries than 8, and if it took 200 years, why are you only at number 8?
Yeah.
I don't know. It's just, and I can see they had to get her DNA somehow. Which again, the science. I mean, it's science fiction, I realise, but none of it makes sense. But like, okay, they had to get her DNA, but even so, like, it took you 200 years to clone 8 people.
Yeah.
It doesn't make any sense.
Yeah.
It's so unnecessary. I don't know. It's just a little. I don't know. I guess it sounds cool, but. Again, it's just this detail that it's like, why did it take you 200 years?
Yeah, definitely.
It doesn't make sense because they literally start with just they've cloned her, and then we see them operating on her, like getting the alien out of her chest. And again, I haven't seen the third one. It's in its entirety, so I'm not fully adept on the details. But even so, I don't understand how taking someone's DNA and then cloning them leads to also cloning the alien that was inside of her when she died.
Yeah.
Because it was just this vial of blood that they had of hers.
Yeah.
How did cloning her make her an alien human hybrid?
Yeah.
Because she is.
Yeah.
It's just, there's a lot of lots of questions.
Like loopholes, I guess.
Yeah. And it's also the beginning of the film. It spends a lot of time, like you say, we spend so much time with the scientists initially, and there's so much kind of this science talk that I veer towards getting bored. Like, it's in danger of losing me at one point.
Yeah, I mean, I one of my notes is, why is the scientist guy telling her what they did And like
Yeah.
he's given her this lecture. Oh yeah, this is what we did, and it feels, again, this is something that a lot of films, and it's not easy to deliver information.
Yeah, exposition.
Exposition, like in a good, effective way. But this feels like it's the character talking to the audience, not to the other character. So it's like, okay, you're definitely informing us about what you did so that we know what's happening. But you don't need to tell her that.
No. Why not just get one of the other scientists to talk to? Although, again, I wouldn't be that interested.
Yeah,
but-
exactly. It's just that I don't know why they would tell her any
Yeah.
of this.
Yeah, it's true.
So, yeah. So
Yeah.
yeah.
I don't know. There you go. Yeah, so we spend a lot of time with that. We get told that she's, again, this is another question I have, how they explain it away somehow, that she still has some memories of the original Ripley. How does that work? They're like, oh yeah, from memories carried down through the genetic. I'm like, that's not how genetics works.
Or
You're supposed to be
isn't.
future scientists. This doesn't. That's not how
Yeah.
genetics works.
Yeah.
There's just a lot of it that doesn't make any sense, even with a science fiction premise.
Yeah.
So then finally, this group of mercenaries arrive. So you have all these. I'm not even gonna try and learn the names to be like, I never did, to be honest. And so basically, and this isn't even something that I actually understood. Like, I was rewatching this and I couldn't remember who they were, why they were there, and I had to look up who they were, and I think I got it in the dialogue later on in the film, but that they kidnapped these people who were in stasis to use as breeders, basically, for the aliens to multiply. So they're there, and then I noticed, this is a weird note that I had, is like I don't know if you noticed it, so this general is talking to the bad guy from The Crow.
Yep.
And they're like having a whiskey together, and then out of nowhere the general like has a lemon, like a slice of lemon, and you think, oh, he's gonna like put it in the whiskey or something. No, he just starts eating the lemon. Literally, with the skin and everything. He literally just bites and eats the lemon. What a weird thing to do.
Maybe it's to show you how evil and sour he is.
He's so he can even bite into a lemon without.
Exactly.
I just noticed that. I thought that's such a weird little. That's such a weird thing to put into this scene. Why is he eating a lemon? I don't know. I wonder if that was like a Joss Whedon thing, if that was written into the script for some character reason. I don't know. It's again, like you said, there are things. There's a misunderstanding or like a clash between the script and the performances, because, like you said, there's some lines that, if delivered differently or in a different context, they might be funny.
Yeah.
But you don't get it.
Yeah.
Because of how it's filmed and how it's performed.
Yeah.
So I don't know if this moment was supposed to be like a weird, like, oh, look at it, I don't know, like a quirk, like he's eating a lemon. But it's just so under the radar, like it's not referenced. Like the guy doesn't go, why are you eating a lemon? You know, no one points out, he's just randomly eating a lemon.
Yeah.
I'm sorry I'm going on about this, but it's like, this is such a weird little thing that I noticed.
This is the main reason why this film killed the franchise. Because
It's
of
a
the
guy
lemon.
who ate a lemon on camera. Oh God, yeah. So I don't know, and then they're just talking, and then I think next we have the basketball scene. I think where again, why is there a basketball court on this ship?
I guess
to do a workout, but it's I don't know, it's a weird. She's playing basketball.
Yeah. I mean, I guess it's just so that the scientists who are, of course,
like, are the scientists playing basketball against her? Are they testing her agility?
Maybe. I don't
That
know.
was a
well,
cool thing, though. I did read, when she throws the basketball behind her, that was like she actually did that.
Ah, cool.
So
Yeah.
that's a cool moment, I guess.
Yeah, I guess. Nice.
But yeah, so all the mercenaries like Winona Ryder and Ron Perlman and all of them, they come in, and again, it's like I don't know what Ron Perlman's doing in this film.
I don't know why they just all decided to go against her all of the sudden. Like
Yeah.
he just comes up to her and it's like, do you want to play 1-on-1, baby?
This is where in my notes I wrote down, why are all the guys in this film such horny creeps?
And then I said,
'Cause they're
because
literally all
men
just-
are all horny creeps.
Genuinely, they're all like making these really weird,
Yeah.
like gratuitous, like sexual comments about her. And then what I find bizarre about the scene is the fact that it's like they act as if she has like these superhuman powers, but she's basically just like not giving him
Dribbling.
the basketball. She's just like
Playing
oh,
basketball.
yeah, she's just playing basketball. Like, how is this? Only afterwards when they have a fight and he like punches her in the face with like some weights, and she doesn't really take any, like she just has a nosebleed. You know, that's the only time. Like, oh shit, she has some powers here. You know. But it's just this weird like interaction between her and Ron Perlman where she just doesn't want to give him the ball, and it's supposed to be like cool or I don't know, show her agility.
Yeah,
but
and I think it's also not filmed right.
yeah,
Like the shots that he picked, which are like a whole thing in this film, like the shots and the lenses and
Yeah,
everything
we'll
that
talk
he
about that.
picks. But that scene, there's no real tension.
no,
Really?
no,
Like it's just, I think that maybe the shots are too wide. And I don't know, there's something there that I don't feel any tension
yeah,
about this
yeah,
thing. It's
I know what
like
you mean.
he's been an asshole. She's definitely gonna kick his ass. That's all I'm not wondering anything in
Yeah,
this scene.
that's true. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and this is where my next note. This is the shot that we talked about. Again, we just get so I guess they're like staying there overnight.
Mm-hmm.
And you suddenly just have this one shot of like the Latina character from like she's lying on her front, and then we just pan left,
Yeah.
and we get a really good shot of her ass
Yeah.
because she's just in some underwear,
Mm-hmm.
and then we pan up to see the crow guy massaging her feet,
Yeah.
and that's it.
And that's it.
That's it. That shot doesn't lead into anything. It's not a scene. It's literally just a shot of just like the camera just panning across her body, getting a good shot of her ass,
Yeah.
and that's it.
Yeah.
And this is what I'm talking about. In this movie, why is this movie so horny? I don't understand. Why is this happening? Why is this in this film? This is a serious science fiction horror film, or supposed to be.
Yeah.
Why is this in this film?
Yeah, I think that's like the in terms of why, in terms of shot, that's like the main problem.
Why?
Like there's no need to have that shot in the
No,
film.
not at all. It doesn't lead into anything.
I don't think
They
it
don't have a
lasts
conversation. They don't give us any exposition or insight into those two characters.
Nothing. It lasts like 5 seconds
Yeah.
or so.
Literally.
So it's like you could have just
Why?
cut that out.
That wasn't necessary. Just
Yeah.
like the only thing I can think of is I'm genuinely trying to look for justifications for the shot, because the only reason I can think of is to show us that those two characters are in a relationship.
Yeah,
but
but-
that never really comes into play later. Like she gets a little bit upset when the crow guy gets killed, but that's about it.
Yeah,
There's not
yeah.
that much emotion shown from her.
Exactly. That's what I was gonna say. Yeah, because I think that's definitely how they justified it.
Yeah.
Which you could have shown in a different,
different
way.
yeah.
But again, okay, maybe you want it to be sexy. But it's not like we see her devastated and that actually has an impact on her character and how it is going to develop further in the in the film.
She's not the focus of the film.
So it's like, okay, so she lost a dick. We all been there.
We've all been there. You'll find some more if you survive. Jesus. Yeah. Yeah. So then we get to the next scene, and again you have this scene where the Ron Perlman and Winona Ryder and sounds terrible, but the black guy are sitting at a table.
The black guy from CSI.
Yes, we are. Yeah, we believe it's the guy from CSI. That's how we'll refer to him from now on. And they're like sitting at a table and they're like drinking Ron Perlman's like concoction, like a drink of some kind, and Winona like complains about it. And I guess it was supposed to be kind of some bonding moment or like some kind of spending some kind of time with these characters, because then I think we cut away from it, and then when we cut back, suddenly Winona's like trying to pick up the cup with like some boxing gloves.
Mm-hmm.
So, and again, it's kind of like supposed to be, I guess, like a quirky moment that she's kind of like she's bored and she's just trying to see if she could pick this cup up and she can't, like it spills, and then the other two get like really angry at her and tell her to leave. But again, it's just like tonally, it doesn't fit in with the rest of the film. It didn't. I don't know, what purpose does it serve? It doesn't really tell me anything about the character.
Yeah, but because that's the other thing, right? I guess. I think the film is treated in general as if it is not about the relationships between these characters. I think like the most straightforward way to describe the plot of the film is these people need to escape aliens.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah.
So, and the only two characters that you should really, I think that the film really wants you to kind of care about is only like Ripley and Winona.
Yeah.
So if you already set that premise because you didn't even bother to introduce these characters at the beginning, then when you have these moments, it's like, why are you showing me this if it's not gonna change my experience of how I'm going to enjoy the film further, because the film is not about this.
Yeah.
You know, the film is not about this character's friendship and how it gets tested by the aliens.
Yeah.
That's not what the film is about. So why do you show me
these moments? That's true. Yeah, exactly. Like it would have been a much different film if you actually got a sense of the group's dynamic and that they were actually maybe like firm friends or but you don't really get that sense, and you don't really know how they kind of relate to each other. I mean, you just know that Ron Perlman's a dick because he like that's I remember now, like one of the opening shots for them is like he throws a knife down into the wheelchair, the disabled guy's leg.
Yeah.
But he obviously doesn't feel it. And then Winona calls him out for it. So all we know really is that Ron Perlman's a dick.
Yeah,
that's it.
Yeah.
But yeah, it would have been a much better film if you actually had this group of people who actually cared about each other and seemed to.
Definitely, because like you said, you don't really care about anyone but. I mean, you don't have any really emotional investment beyond the humans need to survive.
Yeah.
Like it's more like a solidarity with your species, but it's not like, oh my god, the two best friends, one has to go, one has to sacrifice for the other. I think they tried to make this moment later on with the guy from CSI and the guy in the wheelchair.
Yeah.
But it's not like we had a previous moment of them bonding for us to really care about
you
that.
get these moments, but there was no setup to those moments.
Yeah, genau, exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah, so then then Winona's character sneaks off and tries to find Ripley. And for some reason, this is another thing, because we're shown that the doors are like secured via this system where like the general has to like breathe into this thing at the
That's
door.
the best. I have like love the breath identification process. That's my first note.
It's such a weird way to like. This is I can't remember like how many hundreds of years in the future. That's the best they can do at this point. It's
Yeah,
just
like,
breath. And then he has to do it again.
That's the thing. That's what I was gonna say. Like it doesn't even work that well because
No.
it's always like, can't you?
Identification didn't unsuccessful.
yeah,
Please try again.
And it's like, how? We're 200 years after this shit.
Oh man!
Well,
like
yeah.
what? Again, that feels like just a weird. I don't know.
Yeah.
Again, just like a Joss Whedon thing where it's like
Yeah.
they're breathing into, and I don't know.
Yeah,
It's
kinda
weird. It's not cool.
Yeah, it's
doesn't
not
look
cool.
cool.
It's not cool because if it was something like blood.
Yeah,
You
like you have
know.
to, like a prick your finger or something.
Exactly,
I don't know.
or like I think this been-
Scan your eye.
Exactly, that's been done before. Like your eyes. So
Yeah.
then you have Winona with like a bunch of eyes.
I'd love that. She just pulled out a jar of eyes. She's just trying every single eye to see which one works. That would make that scene so much better. Oh
but
boy!
Yeah, but yeah, they just picked this like breath. So
So they have to breathe into. So for some reason, she has this like key or like a keychain
Yeah.
of these different small vials of. And I don't even know how do you catch breath? How do you have breath? Someone's breath in a bottle.
I don't know if it has. Maybe it's like spit and like like the things that you use to make things smell nice.
Yeah.
That's liquid.
Okay.
So maybe, but
Yeah,
the
because it was
process-
definitely liquid.
So the process of it is that you squeeze the thing.
Yeah.
And it comes out like air thingy. So maybe she just gathered spit.
Mm.
And then with the same system. But
again, the next question is, how did she get a hold of it?
Exactly.
And whose other spit has she got? That's, like just hanging around on a keychain.
That is true. Exactly. How did she know whose breath to get?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Whose breath was that?
Yeah.
How did she get the general's breath?
Yeah.
Because this would have been like a cool moment where maybe she somehow like hacked the system somehow, and you could hint at her being a cyborg.
That's what I was gonna say. Especially if she's a cyborg, if they reveal to you that she's a cyborg in the eventually, it's like then why did you go through all the trouble of the breath thing?
Yeah,
you could have
hacked it. You could have done something.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, that is true.
And it would have been a cool, and you didn't necessarily have to explicitly show, wires in her arm or something. You could have hinted at that and then finally, oh, that's what that was. That's why she could do that.
Which I think that I would have made the moment of the reveal of she being a cyber even better because, like, for me, who, like you explained yesterday that the cyber is a common
character,
motif in the franchise, but I didn't know that it was a common thing. So for me, it was out of nowhere that she was a cyborg.
Yeah.
So I think that if you had hinted
it's
that...
not hinted, yeah.
If you had hinted that before, I would have...
Oh, that explains it.
Exactly, but you don't, so
No.
it's like, okay.
Okay.
So she's a cyber. Okay.
Okay, cool.
Exactly, yeah.
So she, for some reason, has the general's breath. She gets into Ripley's holding cell and takes out a knife and is about to kill her, and then she sees the scar on Ripley's chest and she realizes they've already taken the xenomorph out of her chest, and then and then Ripley wakes up and you have this very weird exchange between the two of them again, where like Ripley, the best I can describe her in this film is like almost like a snake.
Mm-hmm.
Do you know what I mean? It's just she's kind of, I don't know, she has this kind almost like slithering quality about her, the way she interacts with all the characters, and I don't know, it's a weird interaction, and then she kind of, again a lot of face touching in this film where she just, suddenly like stroking Winona's face and, like grabbing her and, it's weird.
Yeah, like for me, like the relationship between these two characters keeps changing. I mean, eventually it becomes like it stabilizes, but then it's like, yeah, she wants to kill her at first, but then it's like, no, let's bring her with us. And I don't know, like Winona's character's attitude towards Ripley keeps change. It's like very volatile. I think
Yeah,
her
definitely.
her attitude towards everything's like very volatile. So I don't really get why it changes from one second to the other without any
Yeah,
explanation.
that's the thing, and this is what I didn't like about this interpretation of Ripley's character, because a lot of the time she's just trying to, it seems for no reason really, to just antagonize people and to like prod them, and you know, she makes these comments and things, and you don't understand her motivation behind that really. Yeah, and there's just this, I don't know, there's this, I guess, implied weird sexual tension in that scene
Yeah,
for no reason.
for no reason, exactly,
Again,
because it doesn't come,
lead into anything.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then I think this is the point where you said like the scientists are talking in front of the scene. I mean, there's even this bit. I mean, even the scientists are kind of almost clown-like in this film, because at some point before this, one of the scientists, they're looking at the xenomorphs through glass, and he kind of does this, like the xenomorph moves towards the glass, and then he kind of moves his face along with it.
I think he licks the
like he
glass.
like he kind of mimics what the xenomorph's doing for some reason, and it's like, why?
Yeah.
It's just it's so weird.
I think maybe they just wanted to create this moment of tension of you know, because they do play a lot with him coming close to the glass, and then the guy, the alien, the xenomorph, kind of like bangs on the glass, so you think, oh shit, it's like just like tension, teasing, but only again for the sake of having a scene with tension, because it doesn't really lead to anything, because it's not even how the xenomorphs escape eventually.
It's just a weird. This is where I, you know, as a director, you should realize at this point within this scene that the way the actor is doing it looks funny.
Yeah.
Like it's not kind of. I guess they were going for like this twisted scientist who, like, you know, sees them as pets, but also has this weird like fascination with them. But it doesn't come off that way. It just comes off as stupid.
Yeah.
And
out of place.
Out of place.
Like, okay.
A lot of moments in this film come off as out of place.
Yeah.
But yeah, so we're back, and then so again, we have the scientists just talking in front of the xenomorphs, and apparently xenomorphs understand English now.
Yeah.
And they're talking. I can't remember what they're saying. Like they're talking about, I don't know, using the xenomorphs in some way. And so there's 3 xenomorphs in this cage, and then now finally they seem to have worked out. Okay, if we and you pointed this out, they realized this plan for the second act to start.
Yeah. Exactly. Like, okay, guys, we've reached the second
act. So we need to escape. Hell needs to break loose. All hell needs to break loose now. Exactly. So we're gonna, so one of them, to kill the third one because of their acid blood, and so that burns through the floors, and the xenomorphs manage to escape. So now they're loose on the ship. One of the scientists stupidly goes in there and then gets, has like the hand grab at his face and pulling him down. And then, and again, it's like, and then another like soldier goes in, and then, one of the xenomorphs is in like the control room.
Yeah.
And he presses a button.
Exactly.
Like they had this like ice thing to punish them if they misbehaved, basically. And so the xenomorph presses this button. to freeze this soldier
Yeah.
who then dies
Yeah,
breaks
I
off.
think that's one of the moments, like gory moments, because they freeze his hand
And it breaks off.
and then it
literally,
breaks off, and then you see like the
Yeah.
the inside of the arm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So unnecessary. It's just like, when did I don't know. I mean, Xenomorphs are shown to be like smart, but button pressing smart? I don't know. it's comical. It's like, why? How are you? I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah. So then, and then and then after this, it's just basically a mishmash of just several people dying. You have I guess you have the crow guy.
Yeah, he dies first.
He dies first. So he's like walking along, and then suddenly the xenomorph comes from below and pulls him down and kills him.
Mm-hmm.
You have Ripley, who's escapes from her pod because I think the other xenomorphs are trying to get in.
Mm-hmm.
And then somehow the group finds themselves together. They find the crow's body. Oh, that's right. No, yes. So another xenomorph comes along, and then suddenly I think that was kind of a cool moment. Like, you have his body, and then suddenly a gun pops out and kills one of the xenomorph, and it turns out to be Ripley. And so she joins the gang.
Yeah.
But not before giving the memorable line, "Who do I have to fuck to get off this ship?"
Yeah. Which is like, why?
Why?
Yeah. Yeah. That came out like, why? Why is she saying this?
Exactly. That's not. I don't know. It's just, that's not something Ripley would. I mean, I know she's not Ripley, but even so, it's just.
Yeah, I don't think that's like the first thing that you like that anyone would say. That just anyone would say. Maybe some people would say that, but not just anyone. So you haven't given us really. I don't know, like background on why she would say, "Oh, who do you have to fuck to get off this ship?" Then.
Oh no, I forgot. I just realised, because when Winona comes out of Ripley's cell, she gets captured, and then they get taken to the basketball court again, but then they manage to kill all the soldiers. That's right. And then
they had like that Mexican standoff.
Exactly.
Kind of thing,
yeah, and then aiming at the ceiling and stuff. So then they're, as a group, they find each other. I can't remember, like, they have the evil scientist with them. I can't remember how. You have the evacuation of the soldiers, and then some of them get killed, and then the general gets killed.
Yeah. And you have this, I think it's when she just joins the gang, that she takes like the tongue.
Yes, this was the moment, where you pointed that out.
Of the alien, and
she pulls
Is it, did you want a souvenir? And the only reason why I can think of that bit is there is just so that it makes sense when it comes out again later when she threats someone to take out their tongue. And that's the only reason why that bit is there. Yeah, I think it's also, maybe it would have worked if had been directed in a different way, because the first bit when she takes out the tongue of the alien, the way it's directed is that it's directed as if it is something very, very important, but because it's just there's two characters there, like the other ones left for some reason.
They're going ahead,
Like the lighting is like really mysterious, and then you have the camera, and it's like, oh, do you want a souvenir? And it's like, okay, why would you want to?
Why would that's okay? That's a weird line.
And then and then after it comes up again, and it's like, okay, so that's the joke. That's the joke that you set up half an hour ago. Or even longer. So that took a while to come out.
That was a long payoff.
I don't think it's subtle enough to work as a setup for a joke, if that's why they wanted it there.
Yeah, that's true. And not a great joke either.
Nah, that's exactly.
But then you get told by Ripley that she feels the ship moving all of a sudden, and so the scientist now suddenly decides to give them this information that in an emergency the ship is set to return to Earth.
Mm-hmm.
So they realize if it does return, all the xenomorphs will be unleashed on Earth, which is obviously a bad thing.
Yeah.
So they decide, we have to stop the ship now. So I think they try to get to like the control hub. But then I think we get to the underwater sequence. I think no. We get to the clone lab first. I think
exactly.
we walk past. Ripley notices this numbers 1 to 7 on this door and wanders in, and finds all these different like failed experiments on the way to cloning her, and then she finds this horrible like deformed clone of herself who asks her to kill her. And she does with a flamethrower.
Which is like the most unpractical way to kill anything.
Yeah. You think, I mean, you're doing this as an act of mercy, but that's
exactly. And it's like, come on, I'm sure you have guns.
You have plenty of guns. We've seen that.
Exactly. So why don't you just kill her dead? Nah, I want to give her a slow, painful death.
She's already had a slow, painful life.
Yeah.
But then you get the setup for the rest of the scene, which is her, setting fire to the entire lab, basically, which I guess is kind of cool.
I guess.
I don't know. I mean, I think in itself it's a kind of an effective scene, I think, that you see for the first time now, which, again, is not a great thing, but it's taken this long. But you finally see this more vulnerable side of the Ripley clone. Yeah, and then we get to the underwater scene, which I don't know why. I mean, for some reason they have to get to dive underwater to get to where they need to go. And then of course, like, 2 xenomorphs show up as they're swimming, and the Latina girl gets caught and killed.
Yeah, that's one of my notes, is that there's also no tension there, because from the beginning of that scene, I know that she's the next one who's gonna get killed.
Yeah,
because they all jump in the water,
and
she's the one. I'll go. And then the way she's swimming is like, okay, you want to get caught.
Come on, catch up with the other guys.
Exactly. So it's like, okay, she's the next one to get killed. There's no wondering, okay, who's gonna be the next one.
Yeah, it's true. There's no like real tension in that chase scene.
Yeah.
And then they get to the top, and it's like covered in this film that they have to break through first of all, and then they realize like all these eggs are like waiting for them, and then like one facehugger jumps out and latches onto Ripley, who but she manages to fight it off in the water, and then the guy from, is it CSI? CSI. He's he shoots this grenade, I guess, like at the eggs to make them explode so they can get out. And then in the meantime, you have another xenomorph coming after them. So I guess there's like, I don't know, a certain amount of tension in the scene.
And you have to mention that the guy from CSI has the wheelchair guy.
Yeah, attached to his back, like he's
without the
carrying
wheelchair.
Yeah.
So he's just like attached to him, like to carry him to do this whole thing.
I mean, how can you swim underwater with another person on your back, let alone climb up a ladder?
Yeah.
But okay.
Alien
exactly.
Resurrection.
Alien Resurrection. So then they're climbing up this ladder to get to this door, which again, why is the door up there? But fine. I don't understand the architecture of this ship.
Yeah.
Why is because I think apparently according to this description it's supposed to be the kitchen that's underwater, but it's like I don't know, it's just how do you, I don't know, the layout doesn't make any sense. So they're climbing up this ladder, and then the evil scientist gets to the door, and then apparently he can't break the door, so then he asks Winona for a gun, but then he turns on her and says, "You're too trusting," or whatever, and then shoots her, and she falls into the water, and we're like, no! Or if we cared about any of these characters.
I mean, I guess that we were if it wasn't Winona Ryder. In the sense that, okay, they're not gonna kill off Winona Ryder
Yeah,
at this point of the
that's
film.
true. Yeah.
So I think that's why having characters played by very famous actors that you want to make believe that they're gonna get killed halfway through the movie don't work.
Yeah.
Because there's no way you're gonna cast this actor just to kill him or kill her, like when there's still a whole act
still left.
it's
Yeah.
still left.
That's true.
It's like, for example, in Gravity, that you have George Clooney and Sandra Bullock. You know that at some point, even if it's in her mind, George Clooney is gonna come back because there's no way you booked him.
You don't pay for George Clooney and not use him for the entire film.
Exactly.
Yeah,
so
it's true.
I think that's for me what doesn't make me. Oh, I mean, it makes me wonder how they're gonna make her come back, but I don't wonder. I don't fear that she's actually dead.
Yeah.
So
that's true.
that's the problem with that bit.
Yeah. So she falls apparently down into the water. And then next we have, the guy from CSI, climbing up the ladder with the wheelchair guy on his back, the disabled guy, and then the xenomorph pops up out of the water and starts climbing up the ladder, which looks ridiculous, but fine. And then I can't remember how he shoots like acid into the guy from CSI's face, and apparently that. But like, it seems like only his face, right?
Yeah.
But then that
I said
leads
G's
to.
in his face.
That's what you said. That's true. And then, but that apparently leads to him not being able to hold on to the ladder anymore.
Yeah.
So then they like him and the disabled guy switch places. And then, yes, and then the xenomorph like grabs onto his foot.
Yeah.
And then Ron Perlman does like the most.
The most incredibly stupid
Move.
stunt.
Oh, where he just kind of like he holds on to the ladder by his legs and just turns downwards and just starts shooting at it. Oh, I love it.
So stupid.
I love it. Oh,
so
God.
Stupid.
Yeah, so and then he finally managed to kill the xenomorph, but then it's like still holding on to guy from CSI's leg.
Yeah.
But for some reason, guy from CSI can't just shake off the xenomorph.
Yeah.
He's just like,
just
kind of move it, just shake it off. He kind of does this self-sacrifice, which doesn't.
Very unnecessary.
So unnecessary.
He could have shaken the.
Yeah, he could have shaken him off. But he also just like, because he disattaches himself and he falls into the water with the xenomorph and everyone's screaming, no! But you kind of think, he could also just swim out again.
Yeah.
Like, he could just climb out.
Yeah.
He did just swim there. Oh, God.
Yeah.
But yeah, apparently his guy from CSI is now dead.
Yeah, exactly. they had him for too long. In the film.
Yeah. They couldn't let the black person survive for too long.
Exactly.
Yes, and then miraculously they get to the door, and then who's standing there but Winona Ryder?
Yeah.
Who, and like I said, I pointed out to you, so there was clearly a different way to get like around behind that door that they didn't use, but that Winona then found to appear in front of that door.
I don't know if it's like a cyborg thing. Maybe she just.
Why not use the cyborg senses?
That's true.
While they were being chased by xenomorphs.
That is true.
Yeah. So the rest of them managed to escape. Oh, and we've forgotten the guy who has a xenomorph in his chest.
As
well.
The most useless character of the film.
So unnecessary. So like all these, the only survivor of all these people who've been infected and had xenomorphs pop out. And he's like, very clearly it's a bad idea to bring him along. Because it's basically just a ticking time bomb.
Yeah.
But they do it anyway.
Yeah.
And like you pointed out, once the evil scientist runs away, there's no real way for them, because their plan was to freeze him, and then the scientist could eventually remove the alien from him. But then once the evil scientist runs away, how are they going to do that?
Yeah.
And then.
Yeah.
And then I think then that's when well, yeah, that's when they discover that she's a cyborg, obviously, and they rattle down some really unnecessary exposition about her origins.
Which doesn't play anything.
It doesn't matter.
Later in the film.
It doesn't matter. Yeah, and I think this is where they get to where she like plugs herself into the mainframe, I think, to try and. So I think I didn't understand this when watching the film, but they program the ship to crash into Earth, thereby killing she can't set it to detonate. She says that, but she sets it to crash into Earth, which I also think surely that could kill millions of people.
Yeah.
But,
okay.
Yeah. And then they're making their way to the ship, and that's when I think Ripley gets captured by the xenomorphs.
Is this shit? Let me see.
We need to start wrapping this up.
Yeah.
Oh boy.
We're running out of time.
Yeah. No. Yeah, I think this is where like they're walking and then it pulls her down and they're like, leave her. We can't do anything.
Yeah.
And she just can't. She's I don't know caught in this like weird slimy thing and then gets stuck down. And then the others manage to get to the ship. But then the evil scientist guy shows up.
Yeah. Threatens to kill Winona.
Exactly. And then the guy with the chest burster inside him is like, oh, it's about to burst out. So then he goes absolutely haywire. This scene is ridiculous. And attacks the evil scientist. And then the chest burster, like, bursts out of his chest, but also through the evil scientist's head.
Yeah.
So unnecessary.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's so like you say, like the guy with the chest burster there's not even that much tension going on with him really.
Because they just killed him.
And then they immediately just shoot him and shoot it.
Yeah, so it was like, so why did you have this character here? Because it's not like it really gave you an extra challenge, an extra real challenge. You just killed it and that was it.
And
so you could have just not have that guy with you.
Yeah. Just that's the thing. I think just a lot of so many scenes in this film, there's just no sense of being able to direct tension.
Yeah.
There's just, I don't know, building up tension is just no.
Yeah.
And then we find Ripley somewhere down, and there's just an enormous xenomorph queen, and because she's got, I can't remember how, gets like it's mixed with like human DNA, so she's developed a womb, so she births this like xenomorph alien hybrid, which looks disgusting. All the while the other evil scientist is like given an evil monologue in the background after it's been cocooned. It's weird.
Yeah, it's like a very, I guess, like, I mean, the reason why that character is there is just so that we can know what's going on. So again, exposition. And then the queen gives birth right in the perfect moment for Ripley to
I know,
see.
exactly, just as Ripley arrives. And then things comes out, and then
it kills her.
Yeah.
No?
Yeah.
The baby kills the queen.
And then identifies Ripley as the mother.
Yeah, exactly. Which was like, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's really weird. And then it kills the other evil scientist guy.
Exactly.
And she escapes. Ripley escapes, and manages to get to the ship. But then the door in the back of the ship doesn't quite manage to close. So then Winona goes back and finds the xenomorph baby, the hybrid baby, and it's about to kill her, but she like manages to hide away.
Yeah, no, also like I think that the thing got her, but then Ripley says, "Put it down." And
no, like she hides, like Winona hides. And then the other guy comes in and it kills him. And then it finds Winona. And then Ripley comes in and distracts it. And then she like cuts herself and throws some blood at the window, knowing that it will dissolve the window. And then as again the same ending as the first two movies. It gets sucked out into space in a really disgusting way.
Yeah. Yeah.
Again, so unnecessarily gross, I find.
Yeah.
I can't watch that bit. It's too gross. It's
Mm.
disgusting. Where literally like all of it just gets sucked out bit by bit.
Yeah, yeah,
Um
yeah. And then
yeah, and then that's kind of it. They manage it. They fly away and return to Earth, and the xenomorphs get blown up, and that's the end.
and that is
Alien Resurrection.
Yeah.
Shitty title as well. Fuck that.
Exactly,
It's so overused.
because it's not even like she resurrects; she just gets cloned. So
Yeah.
it should be alien cloning.
Yeah, exactly. It's not really like she herself gets resurrected.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, like I said, I mean, we pointed out a lot of bad things about a lot of wrong things with the script and the direction. But like I said, I mean, we are masters in filmmaking.
Of course, we're experts.
So we know
What makes good
exact-
filmmaking and bad.
Exactly, but I understand why someone who doesn't know these things about filmmaking, about script writing, might enjoy it because you laugh and it's like
you?
like you laugh at the bad things. I don't know. I think you that's wrong. You don't really laugh. It's not like genuinely laugh. I think I laughed of some of the ridiculous things that I saw.
Yeah.
But I think it's a film that you can go and watch when you're like in your late teens with a bunch of friends
Yeah.
at the movies, and you have like a big tub of popcorn,
Mm-hmm.
and you're like because it has that element with the grossness.
Yeah.
Like that's what I guess what appeals to a lot of people, which is like, you know?
Yeah.
Like, oh my god, look at her.
Ah, Jesus.
Exactly. So I think that it has that element going for it. But I don't think it's like a film that I would come out of the theater of the kino, the film, the movies.
The cinema.
Thank you. The cinema. Saying like, oh my god, what a great film. No, I would have said like, yeah,
Yeah.
it was
It was 2 hours of my life.
yeah, but I think it's definitely a better film than Batman and Robin. I think
Yeah.
Batman and Robin is just this mess that doesn't really have
Hardly any redeeming qualities.
Yeah, I think like at least like I said, Batman and Robin was made by high school kids.
Yeah.
I think this one was made by like people who are already in film school and are trying to figure things out.
Yeah, you're
You
just
know?
learning the rules of filmmaking.
Exactly, they're kind of like trying new things and failing, and
Yeah.
and so I think it's a little bit more. It's a better film.
I mean, they're
Batman and
both
Robin.
they're both great examples of studios that just got greedy and
Yeah.
put, money over
Yeah,
necessity, because neither of those films really
necessary.
need to
yeah.
exist.
Yeah,
So
yeah. Yeah, and next week we have.
we have to do the rating.
We have to do the rating. That is true. Sorry, I'm so hungry. Sorry.
So yeah, me too actually. So I guess out of 10 alien eggs, how many?
I would give it, from my non-fan point of view,
Mm-hmm.
I would give it 5.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I think
Okay.
because I think it's enjoyable in popcorny kind of terms.
Yeah. I give this a 2.
Okay, should. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
I just hate it so much.
Fair enough.
I think just my emotional involvement in
it's
this
fair.
franchise. I can see, like I said, I think there's worse films
Yeah.
that I would enjoy less
Mhm.
if I watched them. But I just don't like this movie.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I think, yeah. Let's see.
I've stated my many reasons why.
No, yeah, like that's the thing. It's also like this is not the kind of movie that I watch.
Mm.
So it's not something I'm very familiar with. So 5-4.
Yeah. Okay. Fair enough. Fair enough. So, do we enter the segment where we look for funny or bad movie title translations?
Yes.
What do you have for us?
Okay, I have two that I think are really bad titles. Again, my specialty is Spanish titles.
Oh, yeah, of course.
Or titles in Spanish.
Yeah.
So we have the first one is Weekend at Bernie's.
Okay.
Yeah. And in Spanish, I don't know if it's also like in Spain and in Latin America, but I know that in Spanish it's called Este muerto está muy vivo, which translates to this dead guy is very much alive.
Wow, that's a great giveaway. It's almost as good as he's a ghost.
It's just something. It doesn't only give
this
away.
This dead guy is very much alive.
It's very much alive. It's not only that it gives away like the whole thing. It's also like the phrasing is so wrong. It's not something that. No, it's not a movie title. You wouldn't name a film "This Dead Guy is Very Much Alive."
No.
It's awful, and it doesn't work even in Spanish. So I don't know what they gave this name to Weekend at Bernie's. But there you go. And the next one, I think, is one of the worst translations I've ever seen. It's this film which I haven't seen. I didn't even know existed, but it's called Ice Princess. It's about like this girl who skates on ice.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. And in Spanish, it was called Soñando, Soñando, Triunfé Patinando.
That already sounds hilarious.
Which would translate into Dreaming and Dreaming, I Made It Skating. Or I succeeded
in
skating.
Wow. Oh, that's really bad.
It's an awful title. Like
this is what I can't understand. Like you take a very simple title and they make it 10 times more complicated than it needs to be.
Yeah, exactly. I don't know what goes on in these people's head.
Oh boy.
That they decide to give this long ass titles to things they don't need to. But there you go.
I don't know. Well, I don't know. I guess in a way it's more descriptive than the Ice Queen?
Ice Princess.
Ice Princess?
Yeah, but
yeah.
No.
Yeah.
And it's like imagine like going to the cinema and say, please can you give me a ticket for Dreaming and Dreaming? I succeeded by skating. It's like, oh shit.
Oh wow.
It's
yeah, that's true. Asking for a ticket. Yeah, that's hilarious.
So it's like, come on.
Oh boy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They're making it more difficult.
You're not making it easy for yourself.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. So those were my two titles of the day.
Cool.
Because I didn't bring any last week.
I know.
But
you forgot. How dare you?
But I hope I made it up.
I mean, to be fair, you reminded me about actually having a pitch and 5 things, like 5 reasons. So I was about to come here and show up with nothing.
And wing it.
Absolutely wing it, you know. So. Yeah.
This podcast doesn't pay our bills.
We do this for fun. We don't have to be professional.
And to entertain you, not because we made money out of it.
Exactly.
So I'm sorry if I had to actually work.
Oh man. So that was my pick for films that ruined a franchise.
Exactly.
I stand by that statement. And every other film since has ruined it more.
Yeah.
So next week we get Andres's pick, our friend Andres's pick.
Yeah.
I'm sure a lot of people will probably agree. I'm guessing from what I've heard.
Yeah.
So we hope you tune in for that.
Yeah, and that you let us know. Like, go to our Instagram account at elevator pitch _pod.
Mm-hmm.
Pod as in P-O-D, no pod as in P-O-T.
Yes, pod, like in podcast.
Exactly. So I'll say that again. At elevator pitch _pod.
Excellent.
Thank you. And just leave us a comment.
How you felt.
Yeah, if you agree,
comments.
agree.
Yeah.
Good things. If you say bad things, we just block you.
Exactly. So be nice to us.
Exactly. Thank you so much, my darling, for introducing me to Alien Resurrection.
You're not welcome. I hope you never have to watch this film again.
Hopefully.
I can only say the same about Batman and Robin.
I don't think anyone should watch that film ever again. So there you go. Thank you so much, as always, for tuning in. I hope you tune in next week. And thank you. Bye.
Bye. If you like this episode, why not hit that subscribe button so you'll never miss another episode? And if that's still not enough, you can follow us on Instagram at elevatorpitch_pod to stay up to date with all the latest news.